Think of things. Come on, brain. Think of things. Come on, brain. Be so smart.
Has nerdy, activities and hobbies become seemingly more popular out of nowhere? It feels like these types of hobbies and things have become super popular and trendy out of nowhere, but it's not out of nowhere. This has slowly become a thing and slowly been happening over, a handful of years, and just nobody was really paying attention to it. I'm just going to look at, what a couple, things that were called nerdy not, 5 years ago, and what their shift is, and why now, and why there has kind of been a shift in general. So the reason for things to become popular again or to resurface again is people start using them or wearing them or whatever it is. So like if we put this on brands or something, we can look at something like Champion. Back in the 90s and things, it was huge. It was so big. Everybody was wearing Champion all over the place. It was just something that people wore. And it wasn't this expensive brand. It was this, easy go-to brand. I had a lot of Champion when I was younger. It was very cheap and very easy to get. And then in the mid 2000s and the 2010s, Champion kind of fell off. Nobody liked it anymore. It was just something that just wasn't hip and wasn't in the mainstream. And then turned to late 2010s and, up until now, it's become this whole new thing. Like it's cool now. People like to wear them. People enjoy, they think they're cool. The branding is simple, sleek, and cool. It's nice. And people are way into it now. People wear it more, and it's way more expensive now. So, that's one example. Another example is like Abercrombie and Fitch. Like back in the day, there's also a lot of stuff that happened with that, but back in the 2000s, it was super super popular. People really really liked it.
So Abercrombie through the 90s and 2000s was a trendsetter. Generating demand and engineering exclusivity was Mike Jeffries, the infamous former CEO of Abercrombie's greatest contribution to the company. When he took over Abercrombie in the 70s, the brand was lifeless. In 14 years, Mike had transformed Abercrombie into, quote, the essence of privilege and luxury as an all-American brand with Ivy League heritage that projected beauty in the form of white college hunks surrounded by attractive, thin white women. Abercrombie was something that people at the time had never experienced before, an aesthetic that was more provocative and aspirational than the conventional, old-fashioned, family-friendly brands like Sears or Old Navy or Gap, and these were all reinforced in the store displays, atmosphere, packaging, and advertising. What is amusing is that when we revisit such imagery today, there's more skin than clothes. When the clothes do make it into the shot, they're often barely in frame.
And then it went into dormant time where, obviously management was going on. A lot of negative things was happening in there. But in between that time, people didn't wear it. People didn't like it, things like that. And now with new leadership, more diverse and things like that, it's better branding and way better now. But that has also come back around now. People are really into that these days too, and wear those clothes and things like that. So you can see how things become, niche, but then also come back. In this, instance, it's happened the same time now, except it's accelerated quickly because of a few things. The reason why nerdy and niche hobbies have become interesting and fun now is because of people, one, not having hobbies.
Copyright music, copyright music. Problem with me is that I don't have any hobbies. Some people wake up on a Saturday and they want to ride a bike or do something artistic, maybe play their guitar. I wake up on a Saturday and I get ready to go to brunch.
I think people realize through social media being the main catalyst that has made people come to grips with this is that people they don't have hobbies. They don't have things that they like to do and just activities that are go-to for them that has nothing to do with, content. They're trying to make money or, doing it for somebody else. This is purely just for them and that they enjoy. Not a lot of people have these days, and it's kind of lost on that. People are trying to find those things. Catalyst to niche things becoming huge and blowing up again is social media. Social media has pushed all of these things that we wouldn't have known or even know as a thing to the forefront. I mean, have you just seen on TikTok a bunch of hobbies that you would have never seen before without something like TikTok? An example of that is like woodworking. Like, carving people's, we've seen all these TikToks where, they're branding or carving people's names into wood and then like selling it as like a keychain or something like that. Like, that's a hobby, and that's something that nobody would have ever thought about as like a hobby. Other hobbies, people rebranding different branding. So essentially, there's a hobby of rebranding different brands already to cooler and more sleek imagery and stuff. There was this one girl that like got big off of that because her things were so simplistic and so easy. I forget her name, but I believe it's Emily. She got big off of that and got millions of followers. So
Nicole reached out to me. They do sports like football and such. Your logo is very boring and I don't appreciate that pointy part. So I redesigned it in a much more patriotic way. I'm also looked up and I'm pretty sure he is the president of the football in America. Next we have Amazon. Please help me to understand what's so significant about that Z and O that this arrow has to point right to them. It just feels like a waste of space to me. So this is your new logo. I added some green and breathed in a breath of fresh air that you guys really needed in your logo. I also understand that you work with boxes. So
see, these niche things are being known to more people, so more people are doing those things. Rebranding, different brands or, changing their logos for different brands is I mean, it's not something that's like super like cool, but like when you see people do it and the passion that people have for it, it's interesting. It makes you want to do it as well. So that's what's happened. Those two, I think, big things are what's led to the change of narrative when it comes to nerdier hobbies, from knitting to all of these different things. Like, they're actually super interesting once you learn about them. The last thing that's really played a role is the pandemic. The pandemic also kind of changed a lot of things where it's had people have to sit and reevaluate the things that they like and the things that they like to do because they couldn't go anywhere. So you didn't have people, you didn't have things to do, you didn't have places to go, you just sat. So that was a huge time for people to really figure out, what do I actually like to do, and like, what I have to figure out what that is and what I'm trying to do, because I literally don't have anything else. Big things that I kind of wanted to harp on that I've really seen pop off is reading and anime. These specific things. So just to touch on reading, obviously when reading has always been a thing. It's always been around. People have always liked to read. There's always been readers. But when you go, older times and like older times, but when you go to the 90s and things like that, early 2000s, reading was seen as like a nerdy type of behavior. Whether they're in movies or things like that, you saw the nerds of the movies have glasses. They like that. They talk like that, and they're really smart. And the last thing, they're always reading. They're always reading something. They're always a big avid reader or something like that. So for the longest time, that was the nerdy kid. That was the thought of a nerd, is somebody that reads. Obviously as technology and social media has gotten bigger, reading has fallen off more and more and more. And when I say falling off, I don't mean falling off. I just mean less and less people look to read. Newspapers and things like that aren't as important. You don't have to read through, maps or whatever to find your destination and things like that anymore. You don't need to, look up in a dictionary how to spell it. Or you don't need to do, there's just less reading that you have to do. It's more on a screen. It's become kind of niche in a way, in that aspect. But as the pandemic started, before the pandemic, around there, people looked to reading. People looked to, these things, and TikTok has created this big avid thing of book talk. People are really into book talk, and that has spread globally and far and made people more and more interested in reading and joining book clubs and doing these things. Haven't you seen, like, on TikTok, there's a bunch of I know I'm using TikTok as a huge reference, just as where I see everything. have you not seen those, events that are in different cities where you can go there and, you can read and just be in a group and read? And like I saw this one recent one where, you go to this park and everybody just reads a different book in groups and talks about it. Like that's become more and more of a thing, and people are way more interested in doing that. Like,
over 700 people put away their phones and took a night off their busy lives so that they could come together and read at this beautiful New York City venue at sunset. Reading Rhythms happens every week all over the city, and it's one of my favorite events because it's the perfect balance between being restorative and socializing at the same time. You can bring any book you want and use it as a conversation starter to meet the most amazing people. You have to go check it out.
like that not too long ago would have been a niche thing. Like, what were you're going to a park and reading with other strangers? What are you doing? Like, that would be a far off weird kind of thing to do, but now it's like it's honestly super interesting and something that I wish was in my city. Like, that is what I'm talking about, how quickly that change has come. It's only been a couple of years that has made a gigantic change. More and more people are interested in doing those types of things. Like, those are really interesting. Being able to kind of go out and read and hang out with friends or things like that, that's super big now. And I don't want to make it like a commodity though, like when I'm saying big and popular and things like that. I just mean like more and more people are interested in doing that, and more people have gone back to the way we used to look at reading in the 2000s of like, oh, it's fun and it's nice and we love a story driven kind of book and things like that. So reading has really taken that kind of switch, and it's becoming something that's just you want to do and are craving to do because of how grounded reading feels, and the different stories that you can get from books than you get from TV or movie. Like, these are completely different things, but the big thing that kind of made me make this video is anime. Like, it's crazy how the switch from anime has come, over the last decade. It was definitely just like, why are you doing that? I remember in high school, it was definitely like that. I was in high school in the early 2010s, so people thought of it as super weird, like, what is that? And Japanese cartoons, like, what is that? Isn't it for kids? Like, people would think like that. It's kind of how people thought of SpongeBob. Like, back in the day, people thought of SpongeBob as a kid's show and things like that. But as you grow up and you realize SpongeBob is for kids, but then not as well.
I can't find the coin slot! Here it is!
It's that time of the month.
Sorry, Sandy, I have to go get my haircut. SpongeBob doesn't have hair? Or does he?
Adults and things watching now, and you see tons of celebrities watching them, putting in their music, doing all these things. So anime has made a huge shift, and partly is because it's become more socially acceptable to talk about the things that you like. And anime is a big underground thing that people really enjoyed, that just nobody ever talked about. What's given way is obviously the popularity of anime in the US and here in general, but then also it's gotten into pulp culture and pop media, and as soon as that has kind of happened, then other people feel more confident and comfortable talking about it. I think it's the culture that we kind of have that's given way to allow people to talk about the things that they like, and TikTok is something that's given way, exponentially sped that up to allow people to talk about the different anime, review these things, and become part of the culture that we enjoy. Comedians and all these different people that are online people talking about it is what's created this swell of popularity that we kind of see in the media and by celebrities today. It's funny, celebrities are obviously the people that, influence us, but, it's kind of happened the opposite, I feel, with anime. People were talking about anime way before celebrities were, and way before it became popular. So I think the culture and the people have really brought it into the celebrities who have started to watch it more and started to enjoy it and then talk about it more, which has spread it to even wider audiences. So that's kind of the main way that, anime has kind of flipped and made that jump. I've kind of come away after kind of looking into this and looking at videos and all these things is more and more people just want hobbies. They just want hobbies and things to do that they enjoy doing, because it's hard to find those things these days with everything just being the same. So, more and more people are just looking for things that they enjoy with people that they enjoy. And, these nerdy hobbies in quotation marks, they're not nerdy. They're just, hobbies that people enjoy doing. And this new generation of Gen Z and generations after will push that narrative of just like, who cares if it's not conventionally cool, as long as you enjoy doing it and it's not hurting anybody, go for it. And I think that's cool. I really, really like that. I like that aspect because, millennials, always wanted to do things that way. And with Gen Z and all these different, kind of generations pushing the forefront of being diverse and allowing you to be able to kind of do your own thing without any repercussions or stigma, that's what made, things like this cool. And that's what's made doing the things that you enjoy, even if they are nerdy, not nerdy and actually pretty cool to a lot of different people. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Another one will be out on Monday for sure. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all these stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.